the new Center for Women's Health at The Ohio State University Medical Center, and we're talking about taking charge of your health. Before the break, we talked about the new, more integrated collaborative center where you're working, and the opportunity for physicians and patients alike to collaborate more in terms of their health. Do you have any examples of the benefits of that?
So one important example, I think, would be to think of the health associated with menopause. So as a woman goes through the menopause transition, there's a whole host of kind of new health conditions that become at greater risk.
Right.
And so not only does she have all of the issues associated with the development of sleep disturbances and hot flashes and areas like that, but in fact, associated with the drop in estrogen levels is an increase in the risk of cardiovascular disease, increase in cholesterol levels. There is some associated gain in weight. There's a change in risk for breast cancer and a whole host of things. And by actually bringing together gynecologists, family physicians and internists, nutritionists, exercise physiologists, and individuals who are involved in kind of complementary therapies. In one place, we can begin to give an integrated approach rather than having kind of a piecemeal approach where
Right.
each one of those becomes very confusing of how do I put this all together for me to figure out what to do.
And then the individual patient is trying to coordinate the effort versus having the experts coordinate the effort.
Correct. So really a personalized kind of blueprint of how you move forward with your health.
That's really great. I want to get to your work with the Women's Health Initiative, of course, but I'd first like to talk about you because you're so accomplished professionally and such a role model for other women. You're also a wife, a mother of 2 children, and you suffered a spinal cord injury in the late 70s, and you've been wheelchair bound ever since. So many people would have just really given up, really sort of decided this is just too challenging. Where has your resilience come from?
Well, I think that actually most people are incredibly resilient, and part of it is that we all have something important to contribute. And so I think I was very, very lucky. I have incredible parents and an incredible family who never really thought that my spinal cord injury was a challenge. It was simply something that we would work through and move forward. So I very quickly returned to finishing my residency at Hopkins.
So this was while you were in medical school?
This is actually when I was in my residency,
Oh,
when
in
I
your
was
residency.
my postdoctoral training.
Oh.
You know, I've always wanted to be an endocrinologist. I continued to pursue the goals and the dreams that I had. Moved back to Central Ohio, married a wonderful man, had 2 wonderful children, and I've really been blessed. So I think that, you know, some challenges are more obvious than others. All of us have to face them, and we play the cards that we're dealt, and we move forward and continue to find value and a good life.
Yeah, that's really the philosophy that we have here at this radio show, is that it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you that determines the ultimate quality of your life. And you're just a fabulous example of that.
Well, thank you.
And you knew you wanted to be a doctor early on, like 2nd grade.
Well, I've certainly always wanted to be a physician. I kind of can't remember not. So when I was
Really?
very, very young, I remember building models, understanding the circulation and dissecting and trying to understand how things worked. And through, you know, middle school, back in those days it was called junior high school, but I was, you know, involved in science fair, and in fact I can remember having literally, you know, 500 mice in my bedroom
Oh
in different
my.
cages, making them hypo and hyperthyroid to understand that if you adjust their thyroids, what happens?
Oh.
How thick does their hair get? What is their body temperature? You know, how much stool do they put out?
Oh my.
What I did learn is that when they're hyper and hypothyroid, they don't tend to reproduce, but when they all went back to being normal, we went from 500 to about 5,000 mice. So I learned a lot about reproduction at that point as well.
I guess.
And I think it's really that again, I say that my parents really set the stage for allowing me to question and then to answer those questions. And it's certainly something I've tried to do with my children. And in fact, with students, it's why I love academic medicine and being part of the Ohio State University.
Right. Not just out there in some standalone facility, but really integrated with learning and knowledge and sharing that.
And that's what we all do. We all learn as we move through life. And in fact, when we make our health choices, we should do that with that same level of learning so that we understand more about how to make informed choices.
Right. The question that is at the forefront of my mind, and probably many of our listeners, is because of the many roles that you juggle, how do you, or do you have a balanced life, or how do you juggle, how do you manage all the various demands and responsibilities that you have?
Well, I keep a lot of balls in the air. Sometimes I drop a few. I'm pretty good at saying I'm sorry when I do. And, you know, I think you also have to learn that you do this through partnerships,
Right.
that you have to work together with others and you have to do things. So my oldest daughter is multi-handicapped. I get a lot of support from my family in terms of you know, meeting her after school on the bus. My son is a typical, you know, high school senior and involved in all those senior activities, including barely getting his college applications out now. And I think, you know, we work together as a team, and it really is about teamwork and doing things together and being organized that allows you to do all of that.
Yeah, and organization is so important, I found in my life too, and I think you know, a fair distribution of duties is always helpful.
It is.
And appreciating one another for the contributions that each person makes in the family is great. And what do you do in your spare time, if you find any?
Well, we do have spare time, and you know, I think that what we are is big cheerleaders of my kids. So my
Yes.
children ride horses competitively, and you can often find us on weekends watching them go around in circles on their horses, you know, one way and then the reverse, and at horse shows basically from spring all the way through the autumn. So that's certainly a lot of our family time. Those who know me well know that I am a dyed-in-the-wool Buckeye fan. I have basically missed almost no games since I was a child. And I live and breathe the Buckeyes, and of course I'm a strong supporter of the Upper Arlington High School football team since my son's played there for the last 4 years as well.
Oh, that's fabulous. We're going to talk about osteoporosis and get some other medical updates in the area of women's health when From the Inside Out continues after this short break.